This is the Marketing Agency Power Hour, and I'm your host, Cal Wilder. Each week, we'll power through discussions on business challenges, success stories, and game-changing strategies. This show is sponsored by SmartBooks, provider of bookkeeping and accounting for marketing agencies. Let's get started. So I'm very interested to speak to today's guest. He's a journalist, an expert marketer, he's a podcast host, and a brand growth strategist. He's a storyteller with real specialization in brand development and bringing the human touch to business. He hosts a marketing podcast called Sidewalk Talk, which is aimed towards small businesses. He's the founder and president of Shovel the Sidewalk. Steve Fortunato, welcome to the show.
Hi, Cal. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So let me ask you the standard big first question. What's the single most powerful strategy for success in your firm these days?
Yeah, you're talking about these days. So, like any firm, we've pivoted through the years, but I would say right now, our best strategy is not to listen to the consultants. And we always talk about, as a business owner, right? You don't want to work in your business; you want to work on the business. Well, I've decided I enjoy working in the business. So while I have to work on the business, someone has to. So I do, and I enjoy that. But I love working in the business, and I feel like we're producing our best work right now. Our clients are most satisfied, and it's because I'm working in it. So I understand that doesn't help scalability, doesn't help any of that stuff. But right now, I'm really enjoying life. We're producing great work for our clients, and I'm working in the business. I'm not exclusively working on it. And I think that's what's helping us out right now.
Yeah, that's always the challenge for us small business owners, right? You have to balance working in the business, which you might really enjoy and you're really good at, with working on the business that we all need to do to, make sure our business is viable and profitable and successful. But yeah, it's a balancing act. And some years maybe work more in, and some years maybe we work more on.
Exactly. And I think I'm going to be forced to work on more, as instead of me forcing it, I'm going to let demand force it. And once demand forces it, we'll be ready to go. But right now, I'm just loving this.
Yeah. So what in particular do you love doing?
Telling stories. I think I like it. I've done it my whole professional career. I started out as a sportscaster. So as a sportscaster, what are you doing? You're a writer, you're a storyteller. I used to write for information, and write for information, maybe education, write for entertainment. Well, now my writing is for persuasion, information and persuasion, right? We're writing to connect. So how do we emotionally connect people to people? So I've always enjoyed that. And like yesterday we were out and we create a lot of content now. And we are out in Orchard Park, home of the Bills, right near the state.
Buffalo Bills, go Bills, although go Pats here in Boston.
Yeah, be interesting. They might see each other here in a few weeks. But yeah, so we were out there in Orchard Park. It was cold. We were at a new home, there was a new build of a home for an HVAC client, whatever. It's so cool. And we're out there, we're creating content on the stuff they're doing to the house and humanizing what they do. So you humanize it by having no scripts and just by letting them tell their story as they do it. And then we come back and review it and write to what they do, to what they said and what they did. And it was a blast. I really enjoyed doing it. And that's what I like. I like to get out there and figure out the story that is going to connect whoever we're talking about to whoever they want to connect with.
And when we were speaking last week, you mentioned how sound is a huge part of your process. Tell us more about that.
It's so true. If anyone, Roy Williams, Wizard of Ads, I don't know when his first book came out, but probably the early 90s. early 90s, then mid 90s, The Secret Formula, The Wizard of Ads. I remember reading that and everything clicked with me. At the time, I was in the radio business. I was a television sportscaster. I did television for 10 years, right? And then I got into radio sales, but I wrote all my own stuff. I mean, I had an advantage. I was a professional writer, so it was easier for me. But when and I knew that it was great. I knew that radio was a powerful tool when used the right way. And then I read his book, and it confirmed everything I thought. And I've never stopped believing in the power and persuasion of sound, the human voice, musical imaging. And we always say the most powerful part of any video that we create a lot of video content, is the audio. It's not necessarily the video. Video is important, but good audio, quality audio is most important. And that's the most important part of storytelling. When we go back to the beginning of time, right? Beginning of mankind, when they discovered fire, what did they do after they discovered fire? You know, they sat by the days got a little bit longer, and they sat by the fire and told stories. And the power of storytelling through audio is how we connect humans to humans. And it's long form. And when I mean long form, I just mean authentic. I mean non-scripted. Just non-scripted, authentic content that utilizes audio is the best way to tell a story and connect humans to humans.
How do you balance kind of music versus somebody talking?
In an edited piece?
Yeah, like how heavy do you tune up the background music, and then when do you really focus on the voice?
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know if you're talking about during a video or if it's a radio, audio ad, or not necessarily an ad, just any kind of video. I have a director of video and audio, and Jamie does a great job at that. But you can't, what you don't want to have when you're talking about music's powerful, right? So it's called a full sing when you have a jingle. People call it a jingle. I call it musical imaging. Um, you're not going to have somebody talking when there's a full sing, right? They're gonna X each other out. You're not going to be able to hear one or the other. So, but you would have, you can utilize, I mean, when you think about a movie, right, you have take away the music and or the sound effects. We always talk about, a friend of mine named Donnie Tomasula always says he doesn't understand why anybody gets eaten by a shark, because all you got to do is hear the music and get out of the water. Right. So, but you would balance it. So you don't go full sing when you have somebody talking, but having audio and someone talking and having music behind it is very, very powerful. But also it's overlooked quite often and it's very powerful. Eliminating music is what's called natural sound. So I learned that, what was his name? Steve Sable, the NFL films. Steve Sable. So I remember him talking about when NFL films really made it big, and when they realized it really was connecting. And it was great they showed video. It was when they had audio content that people couldn't get, as probably in the '60s is when I think he said it took off, is when they used what's called natural sound. So it's guys on the sidelines, talking, or it's in the huddle, things that you don't, if you're in the stands, you're not gonna hear that. Or if you're watching a broadcast, generally, you're not gonna hear, you can hear Omaha and Peyton Manning when he was calling signals, you'd hear the audibles, or Josh Allen with the Bills saying alert, alert. Now our audio is much more powerful, but still the behind the scenes audio, the natural sound, that's a real powerful tool to use, whether you're using, it's an audio piece of content or a visual piece of content. It's that that natural sound. We use it all the time. A lot of times you don't even know that in the video piece that was actually a nat sound recording. It's we mic the person, but we're just having them, like yesterday, the guy was talking, thrilling for you, but he was talking about the furnace. Okay. So here's but we're just asking him to tell us what's going on. And then we get out of the way and he's working with his partner and they're just naturally talking about what they're doing. It's a nat sound break. And it's a very powerful tool. It shows knowledge. It builds trust. It shows he's a real person, which is also important in the AI world today. It just shows real. And that's what people want. And that's how you connect with people, is real. Be yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think as you put it, long form is kind of the antidote to AI, where AI is not genuine, it's not real. But if you can get that natural sound in a real person, you can connect.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't know, whatever the business is, people, want to know the person behind the business. They don't necessarily connect with the brand as much as they do as the people behind the brand.
And you said something to me like you don't believe in using a lot of scripts. Just let people talk and you can always edit it later.
I don't. I mean, even the ads that we do, whether it's yeah, even any video ads, audio ads, in general, are I'm trying to think of any that we don't. We do have one client, it just it couldn't work out, so we scripted it. But, 99.9% of what we do will be straight up, "Let's just have a conversation." I don't wanna call an interview because an interview, it makes you tense, tight. It's like, just is if we can just have a conversation, and it's tough because you might have lights, you have microphones, which is where wireless microphones come in handy. And if you can put your camera on a gimbal, it's less intrusive instead of on a big tripod. Everyone's staring at you. But if you can figure out a way, it's part of our expertise is making it much more conversational and getting the subject, to people, whoever we're talking to relax and just pretend it's a one-on-one conversation. That's that tends to if you get them to relax, you get the best content. So there's no scripting. There is prep though, but prep would be like what subjects might we cover. Here's the other thing: unless we're live, which is pretty much very rare, what we do is live to tape. In the old days, when I was in television, we call it live to tape. It's just there is no editing. We're just going to have a conversation. If you drop an F bomb or say something that's inappropriate, or if it's a trade secret, there's a thing called editing. Don't worry about it. We won't use it. So let's just have that conversation, and whatever happens, happens, and nothing goes out to the public until we've reviewed it together. Trust us enough that we'll put that story together, how we think it will connect with whoever we're trying to connect with in the best way, through the editing process. And once we, I mean, there's a lot of writing in that. The writing is analyzing, well, the whole whatever content we just grabbed, and then putting it in story form so that it will connect. And most of the time, there's very little editing after that. But yeah, there's no scripting because scripting, I mean, you got to be a world class actor, right? And we don't need actors. We need real. The biggest definable difference for if you sell uh, XYZ and your competitor sells XYZ and it's the exact same thing, the biggest definable difference is you. They don't have you. So you're going to be the difference between selling X, Y, and Z, or connecting with customers or potential customers. They can't do that because they're not you. And they're probably not separating themselves from you. If you try to humanize your brand, the products, whatever you're doing, humanizing your business, you're already ahead of the game because most of your competitors aren't doing it. And people want to connect with people, not things and items. They want items and things, but they want the people behind it. And it's okay if they don't like you, then they don't have to connect with you. You can't connect with everybody. Not everyone's going to like or agree with your philosophies. We always, when we talk to doctors, we try to get them, when we have our conversations, most of the time it's pretend I'm a patient. What are your bedside manners? Talk to me. Talk to me like I'm a patient. Let's talk about whatever we're talking about. And if you're the kind of doctor that kind of sugarcoats, that's great. Be that guy or that lady. But if you're the doctor that's just right on, hey, you got 2 weeks to go, you're checking out in 2 weeks, then be that person, because some people like that. Some people won't. So it's that tribe mentality, the mental approach. Like how can I connect with people? You connect with people by being yourself, and they'll join your tribe or they won't. And those that do will be your number one fans. And then they'll tell everybody else about you because you do a good job at it. And that's how growth happens, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You don't need to be a great solution for everybody. You just need to be a great solution for one segment of the marketplace that really loves you.
That's it. Because we are humans, so we want to make sure everybody likes what we have to say or do, and we want, and as a business person, I want that business. I want to grab all that business. Let the business that doesn't fit, let it go, and let it go to someone that it fits with. I mean, just if you have a different way of doing business than someone else, that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. When I was in corporate America in radio, and when I eventually got into management, you know, um, some people like to micromanage. I don't. I didn't like to be micromanaged, and I hate micromanaging. That doesn't mean micromanaging is wrong. I remember a peer of mine was a great micromanager. So someone who needs to be micromanaged and likes to be micromanaged should be with that person. I hated it. I didn't like it when it was done to me, and I didn't like doing it. So I wouldn't be a fit for those people, but I'd be a fit for other free thinkers. And that's what we tried to do.
So you've got a pretty narrow focus at your firm. What is it? What kinds of clients and kinds of projects do you really focus on? If you could only do those kinds of things, what would those be?
Yeah, because that's a great question. Um, so our focus, or where we're heading, what's happening is we we're as we build a brand. So you get in, we're brand builders, right? The humanization of the brand would be the tactic used in executing implementation of the brand. So small business, a brand audit, followed by the brand refresh. It's a real wheelhouse of ours through research, right? And now it's even more. You can get a lot more done because of AI, in that you leverage the AI to help you analyze the data from the research that you get. But so the you do the we will do a brand development, but in the development is when we humanize a brand, and that seems to be what's connecting with people, is humanizing the brand, whatever it is. We have a manufacturing client. I mean, they probably, I'd have to look. They might have over 100 videos on their website, all of them with good audio, by the way. Yeah, and so what they're like, we're gonna humanize our brand, especially when you're talking about engineers, like, humanize the brand. Yes, we're gonna humanize you. And so that is, they're a B2B client. So how do you humanize B2B, and what do you do? I mean, well, they say, well, we're not a B2C company. Why would you? They actually are. They actually have both sides of it, but most of their business is B2B. And I say, well, business to business is the same thing. It's human to human. So I wouldn't change anything. So it's anyone that, so it doesn't matter what the type of business is. We happen to fall into a lot of medical. It's not, we didn't try. It just happens. But and we did work with a big company before. It was Geico. We helped them with their HR, with recruitment.
You didn't come up with the gecko.
I did not. I
I,
did not. So it's a separate, where I always gave them credit. It's different. They made HR and their employer brand a whole separate department, which I think all companies should do. And so we were with their employer brand, and it started in Buffalo. Then we were in Indianapolis and Kansas City, and we did some in Boston. But then they took it all in house, which, I mean, they're a big company if they can do that. But each market we were in was really its own small business. So it was great. So, but we worked on them and did a lot of recruitment advertising, and their employer brand hire thousands of people. But that's the only one where it was a super big company. So most of the companies we work with, and I had a corporate background, so helping the local people manage with corporate, I understood compliance, counsel, and all that stuff. So it made it easier because of my background. But we enjoy the small businesses. That's what we enjoy, and it can be, we had a bunch of dentists for a while. So again, healthcare, but anywhere, it could be legal. There's nothing, as long as humans are involved, it's okay. As they say, I bet we have pet care. But do you have experience in this industry? And if the answer would be yes, no matter what the industry is, because we've dealt with human beings before. It's all, and so if that doesn't connect with them, meaning a potential client, a potential business, then they're not a fit for us. It's all about connecting people. That's all that matters. How are we going to connect people? We're going to connect them with an emotional connection, and in order to get them to do what we want them to do, which in most cases is to buy or give them a chance to buying their product or their service. So it's a long answer. There are no industries that are not a fit for us as long as they have humans. Because I would have never thought we would do manufacturing. Like manufacturing, but yeah, it makes sense. And it's gone very well. We help. The other thing is a lot of content. Some of the content we create, it's not public. It's they use it in sales, some training, or it's for a salesperson who wants to create something exclusively for a prospect. So we'll create that and help us. So we'll meet with the sales teams. That's fun. Again, rolling the sleeves up, and being involved in the business rather than just overseeing the business.
So your firm's name is Shovel the Sidewalk. There must be a story behind that name. What's that story?
Yeah, it was when I was still in corporate, in the radio business, and I was with an account executive, and we had worked with a C-store. They were doing a grand reopening, and it was a March. It was in Buffalo. It was a March day, and they spent a ton of money with us, and they did a really good job. It's they had news coverage, some PR, so it was like for a C-store, grand reopening, kind of bizarre, but a lot of people were there, and everyone was dressed up real nice, but they forgot one thing, and that was, you could have some bad weather, and so they didn't shovel the sidewalk to their business, and it was a sleety day, and ugly. It's just awful, and so people were walking in. I'm like, look at their feet. Their feet were all getting wet, and they're walking in and kicking and miserable, and it was just a miserable March day. And so they did everything except for that. And it just so I said right there, if I started my own company, which I was thinking about, I'm going to call it Shovel This. I did it a couple years later. I'm going to call it Shovel the Sidewalk because it's a reminder that everything you do, positively or negatively, affects your brand. So if you don't shovel the sidewalk to your business on a snowy day, it's going to have a negative effect on your brand. If you have someone answering the phones that is super nice and very human, that's going to have a positive effect on your brand. I always say, if you're going to rob a bank, don't wear the company t-shirt. It's bad for the brand. So it's just a reminder to us and to our clients, make sure that path is cleared no matter what you're doing.
So you mentioned at some point you thought about starting a business, but if you go back even earlier to the days of little Steve, did you think you'd be owning and running your own business one day?
No, man, I took 0 business courses too. I was in 4th grade. I went and saw my uncle. He was a television sportscaster in Kansas City. I went and watched him. We went on vacation, our only vacation. I went there and watched my uncle do a sportscast, and I was in the studio, and I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. So that's all I focused on. I played sports, so I love sports. And I said, I just want to be a sportscaster. So when I went away to college, I played college baseball, but I found a place where I could get a lot of experience in broadcast journalism. And out of school, and when we were in college, I got a gig from a local NBC affiliate out there, and then I ended up getting a job, and that was the only thing I ever thought of. And then as time went on, and I was a sportscaster, I realized, sports happens on the weekends and at night. And I love going to like all these games, whether it was professional or high school or college. Love covering it. Love the art form of editing videos. Even though we ended up a lot of times had editors and I couldn't edit my own stuff, but I would write the content. I love that art form. But if I ever wanted to be, have a family and be a coach, like, man, I'll never be able to do that. And honestly, it was time to make some money. So after 10 years, I said, yeah, it's time to try to do something else. And a friend of mine that I had met used to be a sportscaster too in another market. And he's the one who told me, you're this writer. Why don't you just go and keep on writing and go into radio sales? And that's what I did. And went from there. And really my philosophies now are the same as when all those years ago in radio sales. So yeah, never thought about it. Even and my goal was to be a general manager. Once I understood, once I was in, I'm like, I'm going to be a general manager of radio or TV. I've got all these years behind the microphone or behind the camera. I did radio and television. So I've got that. And now give me another 10 years of sales experience. And then I'll know both sides. And then I can go be a general manager. And so I don't remember how many years, 14 years maybe in radio, I don't have to look, but, and a bunch in sales. And man, I was only in sales for a couple of years and I got moved up into management. But, I realized, I don't remember 4 years before I jumped ship, like, oh, I don't want to be a general manager. I don't want to do that because corporate America, and it's great for some people. It just wasn't for me. They dictate what you're going to train people on. And I didn't like what they were telling me to do. I wanted to make my own decisions with my team and then fire me if we fail, but instead what I ended up doing was blocking and tackling, making sure my people didn't have to hear all this stuff or do all these things, or they do fake forms all the time, tons of fake, fill out all this paperwork. And I'd have to say, don't just go sell, go do what you got to do. And I'll try to block for you. And I'm like, this is not, yeah, but they have every right to do it that way because that's they're running the company. And so if I didn't like it, I had to do something else. And so that helped me make that decision to start my own firm and do things the way I thought would be great for clients and fill their needs. And it's worked out. Happy I did it, but never thought before.
Yeah.
I had sales guys in television talking to me about it because they'd have me endorse things or whatever. I'm like, man, I'd come in on the holidays and they got the nice cars, but their cars aren't there. What's going on? I'm like, maybe it's time to get to maybe there's something else besides being on air. And then as time goes on, it's like, maybe there's something else besides being a general manager. We figure things out as time goes on.
And so you're what, 12, 15 years in at this point?
Yeah. So 2012, right? So 13 years, we're going on 14 years. Yeah.
What have you had to learn the hard way that you wish you would be able to do differently if you had to do over?
I don't know how I could do it differently, but I could tell you it was a lot easier to hire and unfortunately fire when I was in corporate than when I had my own small company. When I had my own, you just grow into a family. It's just much tighter. And when something's not working out, I let it go way too long. And I know, and I think I don't think that's uncommon, right? People let it go way too long. But when it was corporate, it was just easier. Well, because there's more people, I managed a lot more people, and sometimes it was a dictate, whatever. Or a dictate would be, you got to hire 7 more people. I'm like, well, there's only 2 good candidates. So we got to hire 7 more people. Those 5 aren't going to make it. So what's best for them and best for the company? It was a lot easier to move on from people in a shorter period of time. You knew a lot quicker. I did, at least. I knew within a week or 2, is this going to work out? Whereas now it's like a year. I'm like, oh, wow, I should have observed that, because you want it to work out so bad. You understand that. Any business owner understands that. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that problem, but it's definitely something that I've become aware of. I didn't anticipate when I started that would be a difficulty, is letting people go, because it wasn't it wasn't easy when I was in corporate. I didn't enjoy it, but it was a lot easier.
Well, it's tough because now the buck stops with you and you're the ultimate decision maker. And
Yeah, true too. I also had deflect. I could say, oh, it's a corporate decision, whatever. So yeah, I had more excuses trying to let them down easier, but it was just, how it is. It's what's best for them. Is it best to have them hang on? It's not. So I'll always help them find something else. or support them in any way I can. But it's just gut wrenching for me. When it was just hard before, and now it's gut wrenching.
So what are some challenges that you're facing or you recently had to overcome?
And things have been really good lately. Challenges recently. Well, it's kind of back to what we talked about at the beginning. It would be the fact that I am working more in my business than on the business. So the challenge would be, uh, doing what we tell our clients to do. Uh, we're big on thought leadership content. That's one thing. What's one place we're getting into a lot more with clients is how to do thought leadership. It's actually really easy for them. They just got to show up, know the topics, we'll get it out of them, and we'll go tell the story for them. But we're not doing it as much as we should be, mainly because I'm so deep into the business right now. So the challenge has been to do what we tell our clients to do. So it's almost like we're telling them, don't do what we do what we say. So it's been managing our own brand has been a real challenge since I've decided I want to do more in the business rather than on the business. When I'm on the business, I can take a breath, look, have a better schedule of whatever I got to do, and do a lot, have people do uh, the things that I'm not doing, right? So, but now it's pretty much I'm doing everything.
Yeah, the cobbler's son has the worst shoes sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I have a similar challenge sometimes. We're in the accounting and finance space, and we have scorecards and metrics and everything. But again, if I'm just really focused on doing work in the business, I just, sometimes will lose sight of reviewing the overall company performance numbers with the management team and things like that should be doing, but sometimes we get a little too busy. We're too busy advising clients and not spending that time advising ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, it helps. One thing that I have done, I've got, well, I give one would both would kind of be competitors. We're really good friends. We all came from the same space. We work together. Now we all have our own companies, and we've stayed close for the last 15 years. Um, we get on each other a lot. "Hey, man, you should be talking about this. You should do this." It's like, all right, I'll get on. And we also consult with each other a lot. So we have our own, we're all facing the same pains. So it's good to have that's helped quite a bit. If I notice, it's Eric isn't doing whatever, I might like give him a call, or if I'm stuck on something or I need, whatever. If we refer clients to each other, this guy's not a fit, this team is not a fit, we can go over there. So that's helped us, but it's still not as consistent as it should be, as we tell our clients
Mm.
to be. It's my own fault. It's my own problem, but we're okay. I mean, we're putting all our emphasis on our clients. Without clients, you don't have a business.
That is true. Got to remind ourselves about that sometime. We talk about clients not being a fit. Well, we got to make sure we are a fit for clients.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what are your goals for the next few years with your own firm? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah. So COVID changed a lot for me and for the company. I'm sure it's similar story with a lot of people. Um, you know, when COVID, we're in New York State, so it was we couldn't get out, you couldn't get out at all. And I saw the future. I thought it was going to take a while to let us go back into the offices. In fact, they let us back in and then it shut down again, well, whatever. And then it opened. So I closed the office like May of 2020. And I thought, it's probably going to be the next year, 21 will reopen. Well, it's almost 2026. It's not reopened yet. So, um, uh, we just changed everything, and work a lot. We have places we go. It's a long story. I've partnership in a different radio group too that I bought into, but so we have other places we can use and leverage. But right now, we're working out of our homes and love it. And back then I was doing a lot of planning and with a really good consultant too, and working on things. Um, and just everything changed so much. I've just it's kind of back to the beginning. I haven't decided. I had decided before I was going to leverage myself and build this thing, and then see if someone wanted it, maybe sell it. Um, it's not going to be into my family, my kids. My daughter wants to be an aerospace engineer. The other one, they're both really smart, so they're not as dumb as me. So this is out of where's this? They're not going to be doing this. Um, so I don't know. It's a fair question, and I don't have a solid answer. I'm trying to discover what I really want to do, and what I coach. I love coaching. Um, I might wanna, you know, sometime in the next 10 years, become a teacher's aide, go work in gym with kids, and, I make a difference with them in some capacity. But for the business, I just had a meeting with, Jamie, our director of audio and video this morning. We're gonna meet again in depth next week. We figure out where exactly we do wanna go. Because right now, I just got my nose to the ground, and that is dangerous, because when you look up and you're like, "Holy crap, the whole world's changed," and, so I need to take a step back, but I think the next few years for me, I think we're in a really good niche, and what I was telling Jamie this morning is we're doing really good work, and we're getting all these different referrals, different kinds of businesses. I let's just enjoy it, and once we get forced to grow because, we can't handle that business, then we'll do it. So, I guess I don't have an answer to your question. I enjoy it, so I don't want to get out of it, and that's really holding the business back. I'm holding it back by staying so involved in the everyday.
Given my day job is in bookkeeping and accounting and finance and tax, I need to ask you at least a couple questions about how you go about managing that side of your business. Like, who do you have manage the books, and how do you monitor and keep an eye on the finances?
So, as you know, most creatives, the other side of the brain doesn't work, and they can't do numbers. I love it. I do it all myself. I have an accounting firm, of course, but I manage the books, the QuickBooks. Have from the beginning. I had my wife was in the business with me. She still is, but at a much lesser degree. She was handling the books. I had to fire her from that. That was an easy fire. I said, "This isn't gonna work." I'm a control freak, and I couldn't handle it, and she just wasn't doing it the way that I wanted to do it. I just got too nervous. So, yeah, nobody's ever touched the books except for the accounting firm and me. I manage the everyday, and I feel I so while I have my nose to the ground in the business, the one thing that keeps me, uh, on the business is the fact that I have to look at the books. So that's one of the reasons I haven't given it up. So uh, I mean, not every day I'm looking at it, but, at least once a week. Certainly at month's end, I'm making sure everything is flowing well. I've had no major mistakes in whatever, 13, 14 years. So I actually enjoy it. I feel accomplished when I get through. I do all the payables, take care of the receivables, all the billing. Um, Sometimes it sucks, as you know, because it's a little bit monotonous, and I could be doing better. I know other people will be better than me. I know my best time is used in telling stories, but that's another part of it where I just like it, so I do it.
That's unusual. Most agency owners I talk to try to avoid that like the plague, and you embrace it. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, I do. I enjoy it, and, I always say, "Why do I have" well, I know everyone's, "Yeah, it's crazy you have some" why I want to, so I am. You know, if I screw up, that's my fault, it's my problem.
That's the beauty of owning your own business. You can choose to do that.
It just makes me it forces me to understand what's going on in the business constantly. So it's not like, okay, let's have our biweekly or monthly meeting, whatever it is. What's going on here? What do you mean? I already know. So forecasting is a lot easier. I know when we're going to be struggling. I know when it's going well. I know when I'm putting too much into whatever. When we got to get when we have to get new equipment, that's easy. I know. Okay, yeah, next month we'll take care of that. Whatever. So I have a definitely eye on it all the time. So I don't know. I know people that make music. They're good at math. Those are all together. I've learned that because my daughter is very good. I know she can play the piano on her own. I know I never learned it, but she very good at any kind of music she does. And I was talking, but she's very good at math. I'm like, that doesn't seem to work together. And then as I research it, they're like, yeah, it does work together. So maybe I like numbers and math. I'm creative, not musically, but I'm creative as a writer. So maybe somehow those two are connected. I don't know.
So what do you like to do outside of work? I think you mentioned you do a lot of coaching, but like what do you do when you're not creating great content for clients?
Well, I do. I mean, I exercise a lot. I'm a big exercise person. For health reasons too, I have to. But I've always enjoyed exercise. So that's a 7 day a week thing. But really, and yes, I do coaching. I love coaching. I've 40 years in baseball or softball, so I have knowledge that I can offer to people, and I enjoy doing that. Uh, I enjoy coaching people that want to be coached.
That is key. Having coached a decade of soccer and basketball myself now with kids. It always helps when the kid want to be coached.
It does, and I'm coaching girls, and now we're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-old girls. So this just in, I've never been a 14, 15, or 16-year-old girl, so it's difficult. It's difficult, but um, it's awesome when you connect. It's just great. I've coached baseball. I've coached kids at every level in baseball, t-ball up to even college level kids. And I've done softball because I have girls and they like the game. So for like 10 years of softball, I I loved it when they're like fourth graders or fifth graders, because in softball they do songs, they run around, they see you, they give you a hug. It's like baseball, they get serious a lot more serious earlier. But these kids are serious. It's just rewarding, just like when you're coaching someone in business, teaching them whatever and writing. I do love that when it connects, but to connect, they have to be willing to be coached and be coachable. So I do enjoy that, but really my whole life and what I love the most is just my family, my wife and my kids. Spend as much time as possible. So I'm a late dad. Okay. I didn't have my kids until mid and late 40s. So all my other friends, their kids are all a lot older. My kids, they're younger. And I think I learned from watching that. So everyone says life goes real fast. Your kids go fast. Get ready. They're going to be in high school or college. Then they're going to be gone. Well, I've taken that to heart, especially since COVID, because pre-COVID, I'd miss dinner. Kids would be in bed or whatever. After COVID, when I was forced to be in a home office, which I'm in now, I'd get out of there and I'm home. I haven't missed dinner since. So my family has been my focus, and I saw, no, I don't want to say mistakes. I saw things that young parents did because when I was young and they were young and they're raising their kids, and I think I learned and I talked to them about what to look for, what to do and not to do, and what to appreciate. That's the main thing. So I hate it. I don't like it when I hear, oh, you don't hear it as much as they get older, but you have kids, right?
Yeah, I've got 2 boys who are freshmen in high school now.
Yeah. So twins?
Yeah, twins. Yeah, they just got home from school for Christmas break, about an hour ago.
A lot of work. Um, but right, don't I can't stand it when people were like, oh man, the kids are I understand they drive you crazy. They can drive you crazy, but you're not going to have them for most of your life, So I try as much as I can to be there, not just physically, but mentally for everything that they do. And we talk about everything. And what I enjoy most is having family dinner. That's what I enjoy the most. That's what I want to do. Or even a movie. It's pretty rare that we can get around to a movie, but not that rare. But sitting together and talking, having a meal or watching a movie is just my favorite thing to do, just being with my family as much as I can. Because like you, I have a freshman, then I have a seventh grader. Have you counted the years? I mean, you're freshman, you're 3 years away. So you got
Yeah,
20,
three and a
29
half.
grand. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, that's not going to be completely out of your life, but the percentage of time you're going to spend with them, we'll have plenty of time to do other things when they're out of the house. But my friends are like, oh gosh, they're coming home for Christmas, which is great. They're home for Thanksgiving. It's great. Well, right now they're home every day. So I also drive my kids to school every morning, and that's talk time, time to learn more, what's going on. It it hurts me if someone wants to have I have a meeting at 6:15 a.m. with one client. We do that so that way after that meeting I can go take the kids. But those 8:15 meetings during the school year I can't do because I'm taking my kids. So that's a commitment I made, especially after COVID when I realized I'm not here enough. And I thought I learned enough from my friends who went through and had kids when I was younger. And sometimes you need a slap in the face, and COVID really helped. But watching my friends with their kids helped too. So, you know, that's what I like to do because I know what happens after that when they get older. I don't know. When they're out, I gotta figure out a hobby outside of living my life through my kids.
Yes.
But right now, it's what I enjoy, and hopefully it pays off for them, that they have two parents here all the time at every event, every play, every musical, every softball game, every whatever they're doing. We're there.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference. And I feel fortunate that we're in a position, both of us, you know, to cut out a couple hours early in the afternoon if we have to occasionally to go watch a game or
So
something.
that's awesome. That's great. Had to be tough though when you had two instead of one.
Two at the same time when they were first born. Yeah, my wife was an angel. That was hard, but we got through it. Time.
Yeah, yeah,
It was just what you had to do.
yeah. Are they identical?
No, they're fraternal. They
Wow.
look very different. They have very
Wow.
different personalities. They get along well, but they fight every day about something too.
Yeah, that's great. Do you remember, what was that show? They had the 6 kids, 3 on 3. What
The
was
Brady Bunch.
yeah, The Brady Bunch. I remember when I was a kid, this has stuck with me. I remember Alice, she was the maid.
Yeah,
The kids were all fighting and yelling, and I can't remember. Greg was the dad, right? Or no, I don't know. But the dad or the mom was complaining, "Oh my god." And I remember Alice saying, I love the sound of this, of the kids fighting and arguing. They're alive, they have passion, and in a certain amount of years, it's gonna be really quiet, and you're gonna miss that. If that's when I was a kid, and that has
yeah,
always stuck with me. Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes I get carried away, and I get upset because I think about how much more quiet it's gonna be, but I really try to stay in the moment. Staying in the moment is making sacrifices for maybe not able to have a meeting at 8:15 because you're with the kids. So, um, but that's a long answer to a fair question. That's really what I like to do most is,
yeah.
be with kids.
And I think it's a challenging time to try to provide kids career guidance because the workforce they're going to get out into in 5, 10 years is so different than what you and I did. Like knowledge itself isn't worth very much anymore because you can just ask AI for information. It's like, well, what skills do they really need to be developing to be productive people in the workforce later?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I it is going to be tough. My one is the creative, and she's into this graphic design, and she does all these things, and she's seventh grade, but I don't know about that one because I know I can hit buttons right now and make things. Now, they're not as good as a graphic designer can do, our professional graphic designer, but I don't know. That's a tough, but you just got, I think math is going to be important, and obviously learn as much as you can about AI. Get involved. So in STEM, my girls are involved in STEM.
Yeah, like managing technology, managing people, and selling. Those are like core skills.
That's right. That of course. Yeah.
Cool. Well, look, I really appreciate all the time you spent here, Steve, and sharing about your journey and your career and challenges you're facing and how you go about humanizing your clients. I really appreciate everything you've shared. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
If folks want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
My email is steve@shovelthesidewalk.com. That's probably the best way. Just email me and go from there.
Awesome. So, listeners, if you've enjoyed this conversation, you found something funny or sad or whatever, or just enjoyed hearing about trials and tribulations of another business owner, please spread the word about this podcast. Let's let people know it exists. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you, Cal.
This has been another exciting episode of the Marketing Agency Power Hour. We'll see you all next time. Another episode in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in. For show notes and more, please visit marketingagencypowerhour.com. This show is sponsored by SmartBooks, providing marketing agencies with bookkeeping, accounting, and finance support. With SmartBooks, you gain the clarity and confidence to make your agency a success. Until next time.